try that again. All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host, once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition, and I think we've got a pretty dang good show for you guys set up today. Hey, bottom of the hour, we're going to have Kurt the Hitman Steele joining us. You know him. He's been a fan of the show or a member of the show for time to time, and he's going to come on over. He's the lead at the Ballers podcast, and he's going to come on over and talk to the Duke crew this morning. We've got some inside information. That's right, as training camp gets going, starting doing fantasy league talk or giving thoughts on different things, sometimes stock advice to some of my friends over in Detroit area media. And you know what? A couple of them have agreed to come on in the upcoming weeks. You've seen a few of them starting to emerge more and more on the channel in recent months, but a couple of them are going to slip us some insider information, what they're seeing from the sidelines during training camp, etc. And we've got some information from one of them today, and I thought it was a bold prediction, big prediction, whatever you want to say, but they gave us a little bit of information to run with, and you could probably tell from the thumbnail here within, Mekhi Wingo is the subject of that thought. And normally when somebody gives me a quote like this, probably take it with a grain of salt. But when you got somebody who's been in the industry over 40 years giving you some thoughts like that, especially someone with a proven track record for identifying talent at the NFL level, you're probably going to listen. As you guys know, we're going to have 5 headlines now, and then get into the main topic. But before we do, I got to share something with you guys that it's not earth-shattering or anything, but I'm a big history fan. I love going out and exploring old places, stuff like that. Last night watching, before I watched Receiver on Netflix with the Amon-Ra St. Brown bit, watched this thing about the lost American treasures. And, I will try to make this quick, but there was this family that found apparently where about 20 million worth of Civil War gold had been taken and buried near the end of the Civil War by some soldiers. They found it. They had to dig down to get to it. They did some sort of scan of the land underneath, and they were pretty sure they had it, but they wanted to do everything by the books, etc. They contacted the FBI to come out and verify the findings before they could get all the way down to the final layers. The FBI controlled the site and said, hey, why don't you guys come back in the morning? We'll finish this up. And they guess overnight, whatever was there was gone by the next morning. The FBI said, sorry, can't help you, and took off. The family did the scan again, and whatever they had identified as being there, potentially the lost gold, was not there. So my thought is, why would you even, this has been sticking with me all night long. Why would you have contacted anybody other than somebody private to verify the find? But anyways, all right, let's get back to the Lions stuff and everything here within. A couple things real quick. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We are 40-some subs away from hitting 6,900 and trying to get to 7,000 by the time training camp starts. So if you can help out with that, that'd be great. Also, if you enjoy the channel, everything within the channel, please consider hitting the thumbs up button. It's free of charge. Takes you half a second to reach down and click that. So if you can help out, again, helps out the channel a lot, even though I'm a little tongue-tied twisted this morning. Last but never least, outside of being a YouTuber and everything else that I do for a living, I am a realtor is one of those subjects. So if you're considering buying or selling property anywhere in Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. Let me use over 30 years in the industry to your behest, save some money, save you some hardship, save you some struggles, and make it a whole lot easier for you. All right, with all the jibber jabber out of the way and the talk of lost gold and, hey, not getting anything for your years of dedication and searching for said subject, yeah, I still can't get over that, man. Let's get into 5 headlines now and get the show going. So without further ado, here's your 5 headlines now. If I can find the right button here. So let me ask you guys, too, what do you think of the new graphics and stuff like that? Let me know. I'm having some fun learning how to do this stuff. Hopefully you guys feel like they're adding something to the show when we talk about someone like Mekhi Wingo is going to be the topic of the day. And then, hey, Kurt the Hitman Steele is going to be here in the bottom of the hour. So if you guys are liking these additions, just throw me a thought. Let me know what you think about it. All right, 5 headlines now. Here we go. Number 1, NFL insider jokingly suggests candidate for a new U.S. men's national teams coach. This is for soccer, by the way, after their poor performance came to a conclusion this week. And that's in the sporting news, by the way. Mike Moratis was jokingly referring to Dan Campbell as perhaps the next leader for the U.S. men's national soccer team. I think he'd be great at motivating the guys. I have no idea if MCDC knows anything about soccer, about being a midfield or striker or anything like that. But hey, you never know. Maybe he does. Projecting 3 future Hall of Famers for the Detroit Lions. This is from our friends over at Yard Barker. Story by Mike Santa Barbara. Hey, I would say if you got some time, you want to just kind of see where they're going with it, go for it. They're not current Detroit Lions that they're referring to, just so you're aware. But hey, there are some guys on that list that I think definitely should be at least somewhat considered for the Hall of Fame. Maybe they're shoo-ins to make it. One of them, I would say, in my opinion, should already be there. But go ahead and check out that story if you got a little time today or the next few days. All right, Barry Sanders provides update on his recent health scare. That's from Larry Brown Sports, story by Greg Popke. Barry Sanders, we all know a few weeks ago, had a little bit of a heart murmur or condition that had to get checked into. But apparently he's been cleared to resume activities. He's trying to learn from that moment. And hey, as we get older, we all know our bodies do change. And some of the things we could get away with doing younger, maybe not as much older, like playing Nerf gun wars or running all over the place at 1 billion miles per hour. Yeah, might want to reconsider that one. I might. All right, scouting director, quote, Aiden Hutchinson will be the next Nick Bosa. This is from Sports Illustrated. So if you want to go ahead and check out most of you guys probably know who John Macarone is. He's been on Woodward Sports. He's been on, tons of different places. He's a good guy, good beat reporter for the Lions. Been doing this for a wee bit of time. So if you want to check it out, head on over. You can probably find it. Just Google in that headline and you'll get that and no problem at all. And then last of our 5 headlines now, Lions Amon-Ra St. Brown details serious 2023 injuries on Netflix's receiver. That's from the Bleacher Report. Anybody who will watch the show, you'll hear St. Brown or Big B, whatever you want to call him, talk about this a bit. I did not know about the toe injury. I did know about the oblique injury just from talking to different media reporters who I still keep in conversations with. I know the Lions, for the most part, try to keep that under wraps. I don't think most fans knew about it prior to maybe last night's episode, but it was pretty severe to the point where I think they were considering shutting him down for a few weeks just to make sure that it didn't become something that would stick around for a month and a half or something like that. But give St. Brown a lot of credit. If you've ever had that injury, which I never have, so I can't speak to it, I've coached a lot of people who have had a similar injury. And yeah, it's really debilitating, not just on the playing field, whatever it may be, but also during your just normal motions. You're really restricted and without pain, at least, what your body can do just simply walking. You can see how it alters people in the what they're able to do on the field or just in life in general. All right, those are your 5 headlines now. So now let's get to the main topic of the day. Let's talk about this because I think this is a topic that isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think the more the preseason gets here, the more we're going to hear about it. So, all right, main topic of the day time. I kind of do like that music. So, all right, let's go over and get into it. So, Mekhi Wingo, we all get it. He's been the subject since he's been drafted about, hey, this guy's better than a 6th rounder. This guy's, he's going to be something. Then we got to rookie OTAs. You know what? Got more of that chatter. Got more people talking about this expert, that expert saying, hey, have you seen this kid? Have you seen his explosion? He might be the next John Randall. He might be the next Henry Thomas. He might be the next Aaron Donald. He might be. And I'm not here to say he is or won't be. I'm here to say that what I'm getting more of, talking to different people who have actually watched him on the field, watched him performing, and yes, not with pads on. I did see him on video leading into the draft. I've heard other people who did the same thing, scouting him, trying to review him, and it sounds like the consensus is this. Guy's got some explosion. He's got an awesome first couple steps. If he can get his shoulder base beneath offensive lineman's hands, he's going to win. He's just got too much lower leg strength power and too much leverage at that point where he is going to dust a lot of centers and guards if he's on the inside. We all know this Detroit Lions staff has also added Tyrion Williams to it, and he is being considered, if you talk around the NFL community, the beat reporters, the coaches, whatever it is, You can all hear them say the same thing. He's one of the biggest additions to the Detroit Lions. And I'm not just saying players, but from the entire organization, from the end of last season, when they walked off the field at San Francisco, everybody said the same thing. That was a huge get for the Detroit Lions. And there is general consensus across the entire NFL that he will be one of the most impactful individuals this upcoming season on any team. And that's Williams, the coach, the D-line / cornerback coach. Now, you're adding him to Aiden Hutchinson. You're adding him to Lee McNeil, DJ Reader, James Houston. And you're having him spend more and more time, it sounds like, with some of the younger players like Mekhi Wingo. Wingo has real expectations to come in this season. I think anybody watching this show right now is going to say the same thing. We are generally wanting to see these preseason games, and not just for Wingo, for Hendon Hooker and 50 other guys. We want to see them develop. But there is growing consensus, and we'll be talking about it with Kurt Steele at the bottom of the hour, that Mekhi Wingo is him. Mekhi Wingo might just be the answer to a lot of our problems, and so might Roderick Martin and other guys. But for a rookie late-round pick, I've got a question for the Dew Crew. When is the last time you heard this much hype about some guy that's, to be honest, 6th round, 7th round picks don't typically have a lot of expectations coming into camp. They don't have a lot of people saying, this guy by year 2 or 3, probably 3, is going to be an all-pro player. Why? Why is there this much hype? And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's real. Because when you see him on the field, you can see the burst. You can see the strength. You can see the non-coachable factors. You guys have heard me talk about James Houston since his rookie year. As a scout, somebody who's made a living going around the planet looking for rare athletes, people that, half the percent of everybody walking on Earth doesn't have, 99.5% of the rest of the planet doesn't have what this particular individual has. James Houston, to me, is one of those people. He is so rare in what he can do. That's why I would have him on the field probably more and more. Might be situations where I don't. Mekhi Wingo, I'm not going to say he's James Houston rare, but he's pretty dang rare. And he seems to have the right mentality, the Detroit Lions mantra for any player they bring in. They want somebody who's laser focused. They want somebody who really doesn't get into the distractions in life that unfortunately affect a lot of pro athletes and maybe people in other professions as well. He's a guy that I think has leadership quality. He's a kid that in time, whether it's because of MCDC, AG, or, Williams, who is going to come in and probably get the most out of this guy. Those are the coachable factors you're looking for. The non-coachable stuff's there. We've all talked about it since this kid was drafted. His burst, his speed, his leverage, all those things. Yes, he does have a shorter arm span. But while there are downsides to that, there are also plus sides to that. You want to get control of him, you're going to have to extend your arms and keep him at bay. If he can get your wrists bent with an up and under swim of the arms, a stroke, then yeah, he's going to be able to slip by you a little bit easier. So let's see what the Dew Crew has to say. We got about 17 minutes until Kurt gets here. So I think this. I think when we get to that first preseason game and he lights somebody up, just destroy some offensive linemen, the hype that's right here right now is going to skyrocket. It is going to be like a stock. They got some sort of breaking news. It's going to shoot through the ceiling, and everybody's going to be chasing this kid, wanting those jerseys, getting those trading cards. And my personal opinion, I do expect a lot out of him as a rookie this year. I'm not going to say he's going to be a starter. I'm not going to say he's going to make All-Pro. I'm not going to say he's going to have 79 sacks in the first quarter against the Rams. But I do think it's realistic to see him get a lot of pressures on the quarterback, be a key rotational piece, and not just at defensive tackle, but also at defensive end. And I think by the end of the year, everybody in the league is going to know who he is. But for a rotational standpoint, by year 2, when he gets to really settle in and he starts getting some of that man weight, some of the thought processes about how to do things at the NFL level slow down where he can just do it more instinctively. Last year, we talked a lot about that with Jack Campbell. In my opinion, from the start of the season to where he was by the middle of the season and then the end of the season, massive, massive improvement. Jack Campbell, my expectations for him this year are to make a huge jump forward because he no longer has to process all the little things he was taught, especially when it comes to rushing the quarterback, which I do expect more out of Jack Campbell this year I do think he's going to be used as a blitzer. I do think he's going to be used as an edge at times because that dude is a massive human being and can get after it. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Mike the Marine Gunny, howdy Dan Lionsfield. Can I get a woo? And just for you, yes, you can, and hopefully you enjoy it. And good morning to you, Mike. Brent, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Lombardi or bust. Oh, yeah. And good morning, Brent. Hopefully you're having a great one. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Development is key. Rotation, rotation, rotation. I see Super Bowl. Woo! And good morning to you, Bo. Eddie, good morning all. Wingo is going to be a monster for us, I think. I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I think he's going to put up some numbers. Have some bated breath and expectations. It will be his rookie year. But I really want to see the jump he makes from preseason game 1 to 2 to 3. I want to see how many more wins he gets and how fast he starts processing things. You want to see how he's growing, see how they rotate him and where they rotate him across that line. Do they keep him to specific spots or do they start opening up where he moves all around the front four? So that's what I'm going to want to see out of the coaching staff because that'll be a strong indication of what they're seeing out of him on a daily basis in camp. Bo, Brad's 6-round sense goes for any round. He's a magic man. He is, man. And give Holmes, the scouting department, the whole shebang bang, a lot of credit because you know what? If this kid hits, we're all going to be talking about the same thing. Brad Holmes is a genius. And you know what? It's going to be on the unfortunate side is you're going to have more and more people stepping in to try to snag some of our scouting department. And hey, that's the price of success, though. All right, just say hey, exclamation point. Good morning, all. Let's get that D-line motoring and rolling over other teams. Brad is the best general manager ever to select late-round gems. In Detroit Lions history, I mean, you'd have to say, yeah. If you're talking about the Pistons, probably trader Jack Mikowski, because he would get a lot of guys in the second round, which in the NBA, hey, you're not usually getting guys in the second round that are going to make impact, but Trader Jack did a lot of that during the Bad Boys, late 80s, early 90s. When you're talking about Brad Holmes in the NFL, man, you would really have to look. If he hits on this rookie class, like some of the other reports are starting to say, man, it's going to be hard to find another general manager in the league in recent memory that's done it as well or better than him. I will say this, a lot of reports when I was working on this story, talking to some different people over in the Detroit media, they all saying the same thing. I know Manu's name's going to come up a lot. Manu's probably going to take a while to develop, but I think most of us had those expectations. I think most of us understood, hey, you're drafting this guy just because of his raw athletics, the non-coachable stuff. It's going to take a while for him to get some stuff down. A lot of people have said, while he's developing here and there, the footwork, though, is going to take a while before you're going to want to put him on the island on that offensive line. So he's probably going to start off as a guard or somebody inside where they can give him more help before they move him out to tackle, in my opinion, based on what's being said. Frank the Tank, good morning to all. Go Lions. And good morning to you, Tank. Hopefully having a great one. All right, Patrick, greetings, salutations all. Hope all had a great night. And don't forget to, 1, crank up the AC today. 2, drink plenty of H2O. And 3, hit that like button. Yes, hit that like and subscribe button if you would. We got to get the Nature Boy Ric Flair on the show maybe pretty soon to help remind people that. So I'll get working on that. And Patrick, hopefully having a great one. All right, Clark, greetings, salutations. Less than 2 weeks to go. Anyone else watch Receiver last night? I did. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I wasn't sure how they were going to handle things. I did not watch the quarterback one a year ago, I guess it was. So only because Amon-Ra St. Brown was in this one did I watch it. I kind of sped through the non-Lions stuff. So I enjoyed it. I liked it. Hey, it's another thing to just kind of help bridge the time until preseason is here. All right, Steve, good morning to Coach Dan of the Duke Crew. I am stoked about the defense this year. Can't wait. Woo! And Steve, I think you're right, man. I think a lot of Lions fans, we've all salivated over the offense the last few years because it's been pretty dang special. I think we're all also going to watch this defense this year and just be as excited. I think it's going to be the closest thing to the 85 Bears that we've seen in a long time. I believe it's going to be Blitzburg. It's going to be all over the place. I'm not going to say it's going to be like the 2000 Ravens, but I think it's going to be fun and just adrenaline rush defense. Yes, we are going to give up some big plays at times because of the style of defense we play. unavoidable stuff. But I also think we're going to get a lot of tip passes, pick sixes, breakup passes, hits on the quarterback, slamming running backs in the backfield. I think all of it's on the table. You're going to have to take the good with the bad and hope the good outweighs the bad. And I think it's going to be pretty dang good. All right, Detroit Lions fan number one. Good morning, Duke gang. The other team's quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. I agree with that 100%. You know, that, hey, if you're going to throw the football against us, you're going to have to expect to get hits. And you know what? Who's going to like that? I'm guessing Aiden Hutchinson's going to be liking that a whole lot. I think a lot of people on this D line are going to be jumping up and down, cheering, just enjoying it. So, hey, let them get those hits on in and take them down. All right, let's see. Bo, crank up the AC/DC, Patrick. There you go. Get it going because it will be a hot one. All right, Steve, sounds like Al Davis just joined the chat. I love it. Yeah, who didn't like? I would have loved playing for someone like him. I would have loved coaching for someone like him. I think he would have liked my style of offense and defense, but hey, you never know. Captain America, what do you got? Good morning, all. Wingo might just be that guy. Yeah, I would say there's, man, the hype train for this kid, it's pretty good. Terry Arnold, Rakestraw, I think everybody says, yeah, they're going to be pretty good. And there is legitimate hype for them. But when it comes to Wingo, there's just something about him. Maybe it's the unknown factor, the mystery behind him or whatever. But you've got a lot of people in Lions Nation sitting there waiting to see this kid. And I think that opening day game against the Rams, if this kid gets out there and makes a play or two, if he sacks Stafford once or twice, heck, man, if he just hits him a few times, I think that will take it to a whole nother level. The preseason games, like I said earlier, if he gets out there and does a few things, get some hits on people, bust up some plays, maybe get some sacks, yeah, the love affair for this guy is going to be next level. All right, 70, good morning, boys, exclamation point. One of the things that I'm most excited to watch this year is the defense hammering other teams. I think they're just going to beat down quarterbacks, other quarterbacks. Yes, I would agree. And, hey, I think we are Blitzburg. The Silver Crush. Steve Wingo does look like the real deal. He does, man. And just every week that goes by in training camp, when you get more information on him, you see him with the pads, I think you're going to hear a lot more about him. And who knows, man, maybe he really just supersedes expectations as a rookie. I'm trying to keep my expectations down. Hey, if he gets 3 or 4 sacks as a rookie, I think that's pretty dang good. What I'm going to want more is the win rate. I'm going to pay attention to that versus sacks or pressures. I want to see how often when he lines up, can he get the win rate or get the win against the opposing offensive lineman? I don't think he's going to face double teams unless he just really comes out guns blazing. Mile marker green salutations. I've not heard the hype. All I know is Mekhi Wingo, Mahogany picked late rounds. Yeah, and Mekhi, I don't think there's any kind of huge expectations for him. Same with Mahogany. But Wingo, he's a different breed, man. People are saying, and if you go around and check him out, some of the national media from other NFL teams, that's where I think it gets interesting when you hear other NFL teams or analysts talking about, man, we should have got this guy. Oof, I really like this guy. Because you know what? They've got nothing to win or lose at that point. It's just all, honest opinion at that point. Quentin Green, salutations, y'all. Wingo gonna run some other dude off the team. I think some other guy getting axed because he's that good. No, you're 100% right. You look at what we've invested under the Brad Holmes era, the MCDC era, into the defensive line. They're all not going to make it. They're not all going to be here come the 53-man roster. Somebody's going to get got. And hey, you got a deep team. You got a great team. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to the receiver room. It's going to happen to the offensive line. It's going to happen to the DBs. We all get it. It's the unfortunate result of our success in drafting and bringing in talent. There's no way Broderick Martin's going to get cut. I can tell you that. They've just invested a lot in him, and he's showing results. I think we all get DJ Reader's not getting cut. Aleem McNeil's not getting cut. After that, you start pointing around who's going to be here at interior defensive line or defensive tackle. And that's where I think you got to start going, man, they're only going to probably keep 4, maybe 5. So who gets on the wrong side of that? All right, Bo, air traffic control crew enforcing the no-fly zone. This D-line is going to maul. Yeah, and the more one helps the other, the more the other shines. And I think, man, it is going to be fun in Detroit. I think you are going to have a lot of fans cheering for the defense because it'll be that exciting to watch them. Steve, if this defense line lives up to its potential this year, the linebackers will benefit greatly, not to mention our secondary. No, I think you're right. I think the linebackers are kind of the guys in the middle that if the D-line really is doing its job, where AG says, hey, I don't have to blitz as much, even though I think he's going to, then yeah, they're going to have some real good matchups to be able to get picks or get guys out of the backfield. If they do blitz, like I said earlier, I do believe Jack Campbell is going to be used on the edge from time to time or a blitzing backer. Alex Anzalone did a great job with it. And I will say this, Derek Barnes, when I was talking to some of my friends, like I said, to try to get ready for this show in Detroit media, there's a lot of stuff coming out of Detroit from the coaching staff, guys off the record and stuff, saying Derek Barnes looks massively improved this year. So Derek Barnes entering year 4 might just be finding himself. And this might be one of the other quotes they gave is this might be the best linebacker group the Detroit Lions have had since the early 90s. So, and again, having somebody who's been there during the 80s, 90s, etc., watch a lot of it. If they're saying that, I put a little bit more weight into it. All right, Lance, what's good with the Duke crew this morning? Question mark. Man, St. Brown is a tough dude. After watching the show last night, I have a deeper mindset for just how tough that guy is. He is, man, busted up toes, oblique pulls, all the above, oblique tears in his case. Yeah, going out playing with all that and playing throughout the season. Give a lot of thoughts and prayers to the fact that St. Brown is on our team versus somebody else's, because you know what? He's a rare dude. And even more, an example of this is the type of players, the personality traits the Detroit Lions focus on drafting. And I do believe you're seeing the result of the Lions' success because of it, and how other teams across the league are starting to mirror that now. You're going to see a lot more teams openly go out there and hire a couple of people in kinesics, somebody who can study the body language in players and understand who you're getting on the inside. Everybody can go out there and fake who you are from a personality standpoint for 5-10 minutes or so, but a trained person can sit there and poke away, chip away at you to where you start revealing who you actually are. And the Lions have 2 people on staff. I'm guessing you'll see more and more NFL teams do that as a part of their pre-draft processes. All right, Anthony, good morning, Duke crew. I am still kicking. All work and no play makes Anthony a dull boy. I'm glad you're doing okay, man, because, yeah, with this heat this summer, I was guessing that, yeah, you've been pretty busy, my friend, so hopefully you're getting a Mountain Dew or 2 and enjoying a little bit of time away. Steve, I didn't see the Netflix series yet, but I did read some reviews on it, and I agree with you. That dude is tough. Yeah, so Steve, you get an opportunity today, tomorrow, whatever, leading up to the training camp. Go ahead and check it out. I think you'll enjoy it, my friend. Robert Green says, salutations. Let's go, Lions. 100% Robert. Always thankful for you being here. See, Matthew Green, salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Dome, Super Bowl. Woo, woo, woo. And you know what, Matthew, man, thanks. Hey, I know you send me some stuff. Try to make sure I'm up to date, even though I don't always get to get on the mic or text you back and say, hey, thanks for that or whatever. I do appreciate it greatly, so please keep doing it. And, hey, just for you. Yep, I got to keep adding to that. I love it. All right, France, good evening, all. Anyone else think Wingo could start a game or 2 this preseason? I do think preseason, 100%. And really add to this hype with a strong showing. Yes, yeah, he goes out there, like I was saying earlier in the show. He does some good stuff with it. He ends up getting to the quarterback. He shows some of that explosion. He shows some of that energy, some of that speed. Yeah, I could see where even he plays some defensive end in certain situations where you go to Reeder, Lee McNeil, Hutch, and yeah, Mekhi Wingo on the other side. So I do believe that could happen. Bo, will Wingo answer the Warriors' call? Grab the Devils' bleeding crown from enemy quarterbacks? Oh, yeah. And, yeah, I think he's going to do all the above, Bo. I think he's going to become a fan favorite pretty fast. All right, Matthew, did everyone see David Montgomery's deadlift 705 pounds? What a beast. And, I know I got to get to that because I know you sent me that. I know a couple other people mentioned it. If you don't know, David Montgomery does have some workout videos out there. Go check it out. He is putting in some extra work to get ready to take his game to a whole new level this season. And yeah, the guy's got some lower leg mass like very few humans do. So he's got some power without question and speed. All right, Mike, what do you got? Good morning, Duke crew. And good morning to you too, Mike. Bo, Barefoot Amani in the house. We'll go with that. Phil, greetings and salutations, my friend. Greetings and salutations to you too, Phil. Hey, Phil did something real nice for the channel. Hopefully you'll have something about that this weekend, as long as everything goes okay. But I'll leave that for the weekend, so I won't give away all the spoilers. All right, just about a minute or so until Kurt the Hitman Steel drops a flying elbow off the top rope onto us. So, hey, be just a second here. Steve, yes, I saw David Montgomery deadlift 705 pounds. Explains why he's such a tough running back. Yeah, imagine trying to bring him down with that kind of leg strength. I would be broken. I'd probably have more than a tore up hamstring. All right, Brent, if Wingo pans out, who would he bumping out of the rotation? That's the $1 million question, isn't it, Brent? And probably one that only training camp is going to be able to answer. All right, it is that time to bring forth the guy, the man, the mom of the moment. So we've got Kurt the Hitman Steel coming right up. And here he is, right here, right now. You guys all know him. You love him. Leader of the Ball Out podcast. So we've got him here. Kurt, how is your morning going?
All right, man. First of all, what up, though, to the Dude crew, man? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, Dan. Thanks for having me on with you guys this morning. And it's going to lead up, like I say, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You leave Dan's show and come right on over to the Boss Up Ball Out podcast. I'll be live from 8 to 8:30, kicking it with you guys, man, talking Detroit Lions and some interesting topics today.
So, Kurt, all right, I don't know where you were able to jump on the show or what you heard or what you didn't hear. So now that training camp is only a couple weeks away, I've been trying to talk to more and more former colleagues or current colleagues or whatever in Detroit media, trying to get, obviously, like all reporters, you're trying to get that scoop. You're trying to get some sort of insider information. And one of them went on the record and said, or off the record, I should say, and said his expectations for Mekhi Wingo really are that by year 2 or 3, this kid could be an all-pro. He thinks he's that good. Wow. What are your thoughts on the hype train that is Wingo?
I see the potential, and we've talked about him before, looking at his body type, what he can do on the field. And he compares to a lot of undersized guys that play defensive line. You look at John Randall, and he comes to mind. I'm not saying that he's going to be an Aaron Donald type player, but he has that physique where he's undersized. He can use his size and strength, the shortness to get underneath those interior linemen and push them around. So I think he could be definitely a good player in the league. All pro, yeah. Well, we'll see about that one. I'm not sure about that. But to be honest with you, we look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4th round pick. No one expected him to be an all pro.
Yeah, and St. Brown, like we were talking about earlier in the chat with the receiver show that came out, watching him and stuff. And you do watch, his progression from rookie, 2nd year, 3rd year. He's blown off the chart. I think most people would now say he's arguably one of the top 10, maybe even top 5 wide receivers in the league just for what he does. He's got stuff he doesn't do, but he also has a lot of things just you can't teach, you can't coach. Wingo, it sounds like the consensus is he's just so athletic and sort of like a Henry Thomas, a John Randall, Aaron Donald, his lower mass and compacted power. I think that's basically what they just, kind of kept reiterating. He's got such natural power already as a young 20s rookie. He doesn't even have that NFL mass, man weight, whatever you want to say. When he gets that, that's where I think they're all leaning towards. You keep that or add that with his speed, he's going to dust a lot of interior offensive linemen or command a lot of double teams. That being said, what are your expectations for him as a rookie?
As a rookie, just kind of fit in. That's what all I want him to do. Kind of fit into the rotation, learn from guys like DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil. I just want him to kind of just I don't want him to be a jag, but I kind of want, if y'all know what a jag is, it's just a guy. I don't want him to be just a guy, but I want him to be able to fit in and just be part of the rotation. And I looked at the question earlier, like who is he going to bump out of the rotation? It's easy to me. Levi Onwuzurike, he's going to bump him out of the rotation. That's the guy. If Levi doesn't produce, he's a guy who can be on the outs really fast. Now, I like what he did last year coming back from the back injury, but the writing's on the wall, man. I mean, it's been there for a couple of years, and and with them drafting Wingo, that puts even more pressure on a guy like Aleem McNeil to produce this season.
So, all right, let's move on from Wingo real quick and just talk about the defensive line as a whole. Because this regime has put a lot of resources into the defensive front. I think they've identified that, hey, the offensive line, you got to block, you got to keep people off your running backs, off your quarterbacks. Defensively, you got to stop the run, and you got to get to the other team's quarterback. If you had to guess a couple of guys that are going into camp with high expectations, they got to perform or they won't be here, who would you say are 2 or 3 guys that are really going to be on bubble watch?
You look at a guy like John Kaminsky. His names keeps coming up in trade rumors. He's a piece that the Lions can move on from, even though he took a salary reduction this season, and because he really wants to be in Detroit. And there's nothing personal against John Kaminsky, but he could be that one of those guys that can find himself on the outs, not because of the lack of performance, just because of that he's a veteran and he could be of value to another team. So that makes him a guy who could definitely be on the way out. And Levi Onwuzurike, I just said that I'm not wishing ill will on Levi Onwuzurike, but he's one of those guys who has underperformed. And one of the reasons why it was because of the injury. He dealt with a lot of injuries. He made a comeback last year. I've had spinal fusion surgery. I had my L5 and S1 have separated, and I have screws in my back. So I understand the pain. And being a 50-year-old man, I mean, I couldn't imagine having that surgery and then trying to play a collision sport, even though I was in my young 20s. So for him to come back from that, kudos to him. But it's going to be a tough road still for him because you got guys like Josh Pascal that's moved ahead of him. Aleem McNeil, of course, is a starter. DJ Reader is going to come in, even though one of the things I look at the fact that that Reader is going to be one of those guys that may be not in camp just because not participating in training camp. They're going to be trying to pushing him for the regular season. So it'd be more of a fact that those guys may have an opportunity to make a name for themselves and push themselves up the depth chart to make a roster spot. With Reader being limited in camp, they're just really focusing on him being ready for the regular season.
So, all right, we're talking about the spinal fusion. We're talking about Levi. I think most of us get, and like you're saying, Kurt, that he's facing a difficult task to remain with the team this year. If you had to go through the secondary now, where would you say are probably some of your worries? Who are some guys that are really going to be fighting to be a Detroit Lion come week 1 against the Rams?
Gilmore's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be trying to fight for a roster spot. Definitely. The young fella, I like him, but he's going to be fighting. A guy like Emmanuel Mosley, you look at his injury history. I mean, I feel for that young man, tearing the ACL, and then the first play back, he tears the other ACL. I feel bad for that kid. But he's going to be fighting for a roster spot. And you just look at some of those guys up and down. The Vildor, he's going to be, I mean, even though we re-signed him, but that interception, that potential interception ended up being a play that and leading to a touchdown in the championship game. Excuse me. A lot of Lions fans aren't going to forget that, and it was good coverage by him. To be honest with you, it was good. He was in the right position. He just didn't make the play. But he's going to be fighting because you got guys like Amik Robinson and you got Rakestraw. Those guys. Rakestraw. He's not going to. They just drafted that kid, so he's not going anywhere. And a guy like Amik Robinson, he's one of those guys that he has that Brian Branch mentality. He's going to make enough plays to stay. He's competitive. He's going to make enough plays where you can't take him off the field. And I think that's the same thing with Terrion Arnold. He's a guy who's not going to want, you're not going to want to take that guy off the field because he's making plays. So you look at those guys, that's going to be tough sledding for the depth chart, for the depth. Like they said, it's going to be a bloodbath in the competition for the cornerbacks this offseason.
One of the things I love, Kurt, about the NFL when it comes to just like coaching football versus other sports is you can be one of the greatest players of all time. You could, we'll just say, be Randy Moss. But if the other guys on the team are all, not at your level or very below your level, most people aren't ever going to see how great you are just because the game can shift one player out of it so fast. It's not like
Right.
basketball. It's not like
Mhm.
baseball where, hey, if you're gonna hitter, you're going to get up there, 2-3 times a game or whatever and get your
Mhm.
opportunities. With that being said, there's going to be a lot of questions about the secondary, and I'm bringing this up because you mentioned in the NFC title game, hey, great coverage here, had an opportunity to make a play. I can remember on top of that play, Cam Sutton dropping, I want to say, 2 would-be interceptions. So the opportunities were there for the secondary. We also get that Brand Holmes invested a lot this offseason in the cornerback position. We
Right.
didn't really add anything to the safety position. Do you think, who do you think starts week 1 at safety for the Lions? And do you think there's a possibility that Brian Branch really does move there full time?
Uh, I hear a lot of rumors. I hear some people are saying it's going to be Branch and it's going to be Joseph. Um, has I like Iffy. I like Iffy at safety. I think it's going to be a rotation of those 3 guys. I think it's going to be Branch, and I think it's going to be Kirby, and I think it's going to be Branch. Iffy, Branch, and Kirby are going to kind of have that same rotation that they brought in with CD Gardner Johnson when he came back last year from CJ Gardner Johnson. Excuse me, he came in last year back from injury, and they had that rotation. I think it would have worked, but it didn't have enough time to kind of implement it going into the playoffs. So, they're going to have enough time to implement that rotation because you're going to have packages where Branch is going to be back there with Joseph. You're going to have packages where he's back there with Iffy. You're going to have them where Branch is going to be blitzing. You're going to have where Joseph's going to be blitzing, where Iffy's going to be blitzing. It's a lot of, if they continue to hold up on the outside with those guys with Carlton Davis III and Terry Arnold, if those guys can hold up on the outside, man, that creates a mismatch with a lot of those safeties coming up in the box and making some plays. So I like the aggressiveness, and if they can keep doing that, I like that. But for my starting guys, week 1 is going to be Iffy and it's going to be Kirby.
Who do you think starts at the cornerback spots then?
It's going to be Terry Arnold. It's going to be Carlton Davis III. And it is going to be Brian Branch is going to start at nickel. That's his spot until Amik Robinson. He talks a lot of trash, and I like Amik Robinson, and he's got to prove it to me right there. He's going to have to do a lot to get Brian Branch out of that position.
Okay. Well, hold on. We got breaking news. Kurt Seal just named the starting secondary for the Detroit Lions. All right. I'm okay with it. I think you're probably spot on with that. So, all right. Now, since training camp is just coming up in a couple weeks, what are your thoughts on the Detroit Lions offensive line? Because we've invested quite a bit into it. The depth did not seem that great last year. You had some bodies, but they were younger bodies. Scoresdale did not do well in his showings. Yoda did okay, I thought. But do you think the depth on the offensive line this year, which is probably overall younger, is going to be able to rise up and provide a little bit more to the team?
I think with the experience that Swordsdal and Yodi got last year, it's going to help them as far as being depth pieces. You got especially Yodi. He played well. I mean, of course we have some spots where he didn't play great, but he played well. You think about this NFC Championship game. I mean, you look at that offense was humming, and he stepped in. And one of the most valuable members to me of the coaching staff is Hank Fraley. That guy is a monster. He coaches his guys. There isn't a lot of drop off when the guys have to go in and out of the lineup. You look at the time that Frank Ragnow missed. We didn't, of course we didn't win every game. Of course we did lose some, but you got some guys that came in and stepped up. So I think you look at what's going on with the offensive line. I think we're going to be tops in the league. PFF is rating us the top in the league. That was one time I agree with the Pro Football Focus, but I think we're going to be one of the best offensive lines in the league, and keeping us healthy with that interior being the veterans. You got a lot of veterans on that interior offensive line. Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow, Zeitler. Those are the old men, of the team, but they're the actual leaders though. And I believe that they can do a great job this year up front.
You mentioned Hank Fraley, and let's face it, the Lions coaching staff is made up of a ton of different guys who played to high levels in this league, and now have really they've been around long enough where they're no longer rookie coaches or rookies at their positions or whatever it is. They've got some real strength behind them. Are you surprised Fraley hasn't been offered a head coaching job at some level to leave Detroit?
I think for me, I'm not. Am I surprised? Yes. Am I surprised he stayed? Absolutely not. And the one guy that may have took him out of Detroit is Ben Johnson. That was the buzz. If Ben Johnson left, he was going to take Hank Fraley with him. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Because to me, I thought that was a great keep by the Dan Campbell administration by keeping him on staff. Because I'm like, he was one of the best. Because you got to remember, he was an assistant at first in Detroit. And he moved up. When the other guy left, he moved up, and the guys loved him. If you look at Taylor Decker had a press conference where he congratulated him when he got promoted. And he's done nothing but turn the Lions offensive line to one of the best in the league.
Right. Yeah, I think, if Aaron Glenn, if Ben Johnson, or whoever leaves the staff next year, I'm going to guess a lot of them are going to be trying to get Hank Fraley to go with them because he does seem to have that it factor as a coach. And a lot of them do. I think you're going to have a lot of guys. If the Lions go out and have another great season this year, whether it means Super Bowl or whatever, you're going to see this team get gutted. More and more teams try to gut them because of the success we've had. But all right, I know you've got to getting, so I won't keep you. But why don't you go ahead and give everybody a shout out, tell them all about yourself, where to go, and where to go next to watch the Boss Up Ball Out podcast.
All right, definitely. You can check me out over on X. I'm Kurt Steele 14 over there. At Kurt Steele 14. You can check me out over at the Boss Up Ball Out podcast on YouTube, or you can go to Kurt Steele over on Facebook and watch it over there on my Twitter feed. So we're gonna be live this morning and having some fun, man. Come and hang out. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's just me and you guys hosting the show. And I'm interactive, so we're going to have a good discussion this morning on some great Lions topics. So go check me out at the Boss Up Ball Out podcast over on YouTube. Y'all know how to get to it because the Duke Crew be in there building every Tuesday and Thursday representing. So thanks for you guys, man. I got to check out of here. Thanks, Dan, for having me on.
Well, take care, and thanks for hopping on, Kurt. Have a good morning.
You too, brother.
All right, that was Kurt the Hitman Steele coming over and taking a little time out of his day before his show gets going. You guys all know his show starts at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so go ahead and check him out. Great dude, great insider, longtime writer for the Detroit Lions, or on the Detroit Lions, I should say. So check him out. My closing thoughts on the day are this. There's a ton of expectations for this team. You get it, I get it. Everybody's saying Super Bowl or bust. Hey, anything less than that would be not ideal for this franchise. My thought is this rookie class, I think Manu's going to take some time to develop. I would not expect much out of him probably until year 3. He's going to take that, and there are going to be people that are going to say, hey, a wasted draft pick. I would refrain from that and just say, my thought is, hey, you're drafting somebody for their potential. Anytime you bring somebody in, I don't care if it's a first rounder, 7th rounder in any league, you're bringing them for the potential. Manu, I think, was someone that was going to be targeted for a long-term project. Mekhi Wingo, the topic of the day. I think this kid is going to be there a lot faster than that. He's got the it factor, it appears. Now, we've got to see that in the preseason to take us to the next level. If he comes in, guns blazing that preseason, maybe gets some starts, gets moved to outside, gets moved inside, right side, left side, all the above. Now that's another level of excitement to me as a coach, because that means this kid is getting it faster and faster. The coaching staff has more and more confidence in him. And, we talked about the hype train. We talked about, what the insider said that, hey, year 2 or 3, they're expecting all pro out of this kid because the potential's there. I would say probably year 2 is a little bit of a stretch, but is it unheard of by year 3 that a rookie makes a jump from, being something into all pro? We mentioned St. Brown earlier in the show. Look at him, and he's not the only one. We talked about the same insider saying Derek Barnes looks like he was pretty good last year. Most fans would even say a breakout season for Derek Barnes, and he looks better this year. The Lions linebacker core, a weakness by many analysts, saying, hey, they're number 34 out of 32 teams in the league. I want to say Pro Football Focus had us at 22, but they're also, according to this insider, saying that, hey, the Lions linebackers might be the best overall it's been since the early to mid 90s. So let that sink in. This defense could really step up and be something powerful this year. I've got my expectations for it. I'm not going to say we're going to be number 1 in the NFL, number 5. I won't even see we're going to be number 10 in the league. I think we're going to be in the conversation for the top 10 NFL defense. And I think we're going to be one of the hardest ones to play because so many quarterbacks in this league no longer face man-to-man the vast majority of the time and the pressures that come with it. Because most NFL teams, let's be honest, they've become very conservative. They don't want to put their corners on an island because the rules all favor the wide receivers of the offense. But I think Aaron Glenn's, he's going to be sending the house after quarterbacks probably 60 to 70% of the time. He's going to be putting them on an island, make them roll out of the pocket and throw on the run. And that's where someone like a James Houston or Mekhi Wingo, who's got that motor, got that burst, got that speed, if they can split an offensive line, if they can get past it and get gap penetration to where the line's breaking down, you're going to get a lot of hits on the quarterback. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all for joining the show. If you haven't yet subscribed, Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to get to 6,900 subs. We are less than 50 away from that. Before you leave today, if you could take a moment in time and hit that thumbs up button. As you guys know, we try to get every show episode to 200 to 300 thumbs up or more. So if you can help out, it's free of charge. Takes a half second of time. All right. If there's some breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as fast as possible. Otherwise, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something great for somebody else, somebody you don't know. And we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Happy trails to you until